Everybody tells you that Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsport, with impressive aerodynamics, the best drivers, and engines that influence road car technology. But it's these engines that are killing Formula One. They are too big, influence car design, and had a massive impact on racing. If you watch my videos regularly, you know that I'm a big fan of the 2000s era of Formula One. For me, that was Formula One. And honestly, we can extend that period until 2013. We got V10 and later V8 engines. Those V10 engines, they were fitted in small and nimble cars. Yes, the cars produced a lot of dirty air, and they were also quite sensitive, which did lead to fewer overtakes. But sometimes, less is more. It felt more genuine than blazing by with your DRS wide open. A screaming engine, strategic battles due to refueling, and overall just good-looking cars. It made it peak Formula One, at least in my eyes. From 2006 until 2013, Formula One got these V8s, and it produced some amazing seasons. Schumacher's Ferrari versus Alonso's Renault in 2006, that was the kickoff of that new era. In 2007, we got the last race decider, which made Kimi Raikkonen the last Ferrari world champion, even to this day. 2008 was for Lewis Hamilton, and that was in his McLaren. In 2009, it was a regulation change, which made Brawn GP the one-season wonder of F1. From 2010 all the way up until 2013, we got a Red Bull Racing dominance with Sebastian Vettel. The regulation reset made the cars narrower, but it also introduced the first look of bad aerodynamics. In the meantime, we got a fantastic season in 2012, with multiple teams fighting for race wins and the championship. But in 2014, the engines changed. Formula One introduced 1.6-litre turbocharged V6 hybrid engines. That's a mouthful of garbage. Yeah, I said it. That's my opinion on it. Those engines are, in terms of technology, amazing. It's an advanced system with efficiency, sustainability, and a big influence on road cars. But in reality, they're the reason Formula One is in this bad shape. You might think, what is he talking about? We had a close F1 season in 2024. 2025 is also treating us very well, and it might be an all-time great season. Well, just a second. Let me explain myself. Formula One cars are big now. Too big. That's not entirely the fault of these engines. The refueling ban made the fuel tanks grow, better chassis and crash structures meant an increase in weight. In 2014, the engines got introduced. With that introduction, we got another increase in weight. The V8 engines were 95 kilos, the V6 engines 150 kilos, and that's all due to the hybrid systems. The MGUH, the MGUK, and turbo with an electric motor, they made the cars gain 55 kilos. An absolute disaster. This also influenced car design because all of this had to fit in as tight as possible a package. Multiple teams frankly struggled with it, especially the smaller ones. Even if they were a customer of the big teams, they had struggles fitting it into their package. This gave the teams that were capable of integrating it an advantage. It also gave us the infamous Fernando Alonso incident in 2015. Because Honda struggled, I still think he was electrocuted that day. But, to be fair, from 2014 until 2016, it wasn't too bad. Racing was still good, cars could follow each other, and the speed they lost at the start of the new era was back to pre-hybrid level in 2016. One engine manufacturer stood out though. Mercedes dominated this period. They came back to the sport in 2010 and were focused on the new engine rules. Without a cost limit, Mercedes did a $1 billion investment in these engines. Those V6 hybrids were complex and expensive, but that amount of money solves a lot of problems. Of the 59 races in this period, they won 51. Absolute dominance. But this led to another change that killed racing in Formula One. But now, it's time for you to kill the subscribe button so I can keep making videos. As said, another change was needed. Formula One wanted more spectacle and performance. Wider cars, enhanced downforce, and larger tires, they all got introduced. It gave struggling manufacturers like Renault and Honda more space for all the engine component, engineers more room to play with aerodynamics, and us, well, we got terrible racing. The cars became aerodynamic monsters of 728 kilos that produced so much dirty air you couldn't follow. Engineers, well, they prioritized peak performance over racing, and to be honest, I totally understand them. You want to build a car that goes as fast as possible? There's nothing wrong with that. From 2017 to 2020, cars lost around 50% downforce as soon as they came close. Fewer overtakes, tire degradation through the roof, and dissatisfaction after a race weekend. Race leaders, most of the time Mercedes, pulled away. The midfield was a DRS train. Bad qualification, but in a faster car? Good luck trying to get to the front. 2021 was the last year of the aero regulations, but with a change that affected Mercedes and brought Red Bull Racing closer. A fantastic battle for the championship was the effect of it. The engine regulations got frozen, now finally all manufacturers came closer to each other. All of these changes were a small preview of the new regulations in 2022. With the same V6 engines but a new regulation set focused on racing, everyone had high hopes. The size and weight of the cars took another hit. They became 798 kilos. The cars are around 5.5 meters long. You know what's also that size? A Dodge Ram. Yeah, a Formula One car is as big as a truck. 2022 started off right with a Max Verstappen versus Charles Leclerc battle, until Ferrari lost the development battle. 2023 was the most dominant Formula One season by a driver and team ever. Then, in 2024, the field got much closer with a McLaren comeback. 2025 started off good, with in the first 3 races, 3 race winners. But racing's gone back now to the 2017-2021 period. In 2022, cars could follow, but now they're again dirty air-producing boats that aren't even capable of making an overtake. The Japanese Grand Prix of 2025, that was a snorefest for everybody. Except, of course, for fans that support Max Verstappen. But that's not due to Suzuka. It's due to those engines that got introduced in 2014. These rules led to bigger and heavier cars that have too much downforce and aerodynamic developments that killed racing. Formula One isn't made for that anymore. Formula One takes a step in the right direction from 2026 and onwards. The cars get smaller in width and length too. Tires become smaller and aerodynamics get restricted. A reduced size and weight cut to 768 kilos, it's a good step. The looks of the cars will be more like 2005 to 2008, something I can only applaud, but in reality, they are 163 kilos heavier than that era, which makes me sad. And also, do you know what's not a step in the right direction? The new engines. We keep the mouthful of garbage V6 engines, but now they get even worse because they get capped at 540 horsepower. The MG UK gets tripled up to 460 horsepower, which means a 50-50 split between engine and electronics. Who on earth actually comes up with this? Well, it's certainly not someone that's 100% clear in his mind if you ask me. It's absolute garbage, and it's just waiting for Williams to change the Duracell sponsorship to Dyson. We get a semi-Formula E series instead of Formula One. Just call it Formula Vacuum then. But that's not all my frustration. Those engines get heavier. Again, they go up to 185 kilos, another 30 kilo increase, which means that if we extend the current engines, we've got cars of 708 kilos. That would bring us back to the 2015-2016 cars in weight, an era that was still capable of racing. That combined with smaller cars, it could produce something excellent. Instead of that, we get semi-electric Formula One cars. Half of the power is locked in a battery, but due to a more powerful MG UK, that energy is gone in seconds. And what does that even mean? It means not enough power on the straights to overtake, or even worse, you get a lot slower, which is just plain dangerous. We don't talk about 1 km per hour, but 10 seconds of kilometer per hour. To counter this, the sport introduces a lot of gimmicks that you only really see in Mario Kart. We get active aerodynamics with a Z and X mode, which just sounds like something you'd see in a game. This all works with sensors, and if that fails, we just get a lot of Jack Doohan Suzuka 2024 crashes. Drivers will be too dependent on the energy compartment. It's 50% of the power that gets deployed way too quickly. It might result in too much lift and coast driving because they need to charge their batteries. That, all in all, it'll lead to less racing if you ask me. I thought I'd never say this, but I think the moment is there. Formula One needs to keep the current V6 engines. Put those in new cars and I think it's an instant improvement. Those engines, they're still one of the most efficient on Earth. The cost of those are under control, and we don't need all those gimmicks to make the power deployment work. And if they want to change, just go back to a V8, but with 100% sustainable fuel. Those engines, they're perfectly capable of doing all that. It doesn't cost that much, and it weighs way less, and it's all in favor of lighter cars that are drivable and can also overtake on tracks that people now see as not good for Formula One. Car manufacturers are slowing down their electrification. They still produce petrol cars and also a lot of hybrids. Keep it that way and don't chase this 50-50 engine. It's a recipe for disaster in my eyes. I don't want the sport I love for the biggest part of my life to die. At this moment, the FIA it's still having talks with all the teams about the new engine regulations. Ben Sulayem opened for a return of V10s, but we all know that'll never happen. Manufacturers and engineers, they struggle with the new regulations, the gimmicks, and they're in doubt on if it'll even work. We might see a change, but we're already in April 2025. A lot of work is already done, and it might be too late to change something. But I personally hope it's not too late to change the Formula One calendar. F1 has 24 races on circuits like Miami, Jeddah, and Qatar that, let's be honest, they don't belong in the sport. There's too many races. The special feeling of Formula One weekend, it's fading away. They've made a mess of the calendar, and it's almost beyond fixing at this point.